Part 1. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 1. P.S. There is no supernatural power, no superpower, no rebirth, the golden finger is Han Qian's head. Nuan Nuan, let's get a divorce. The originally harmonious breakfast atmosphere froze because of Han Qian's words. Han Qian looked at his wife sitting opposite. To be precise, he was his employer, the boss, a woman who controlled his destiny. Han Qian and Wen Nuan are husband and wife, and they have been married for 3 years. In order to wait for someone to come back, Nuan Nuan chose to marry Han Qian, while Han Qian needed Nuan Nuan's help to escape the danger of being imprisoned. Fraud, embezzlement of public funds, falsification of academic qualifications. These 3 crimes were enough to keep him in prison for most of his life. Han Qian's family had a big problem 3 years ago. His mother was hospitalized for several illnesses. In order to save several hundred yuan a year in cooperative medical expenses, she always refused to pay due to luck, so she was suddenly admitted to the hospital. The intensive care unit has made the already poor families even worse. The money from selling the house can be said to be a drop in the bucket compared to the expensive medical expenses. When the old man was about to sell his kidney for money, Han Qian refused and told the old man that if he persisted for a month, he would get the medical expenses. After leaving the hospital, Han Qian forged his academic qualifications and applied for a job in the planning department of Changxiang Group. He claimed to have many years of project planning experience and successfully entered the planning department with his mouth. Within half a month, he learned about Changxiang Group's current situation. Problem: department stores affiliated to Changxiang Group are losing money every year, and they still can't give up. Competitors are waiting for Changxiang to give up the department store business. This is something Han Qian discovered very early. He came to Changxiang for the same reason. This project came about, and half a month of busy work allowed him to make a plan for department stores. When the plan was delivered to the manager of the planning department, the manager frowned. The plan seemed to be a good proposal. Han Qian also made a request at this time. The plan could be completely handed over to the manager, and it could be done in the name of the manager. The premise is that he wants to participate in this project. The planning proposal was sent to the risk assessment and finally to the executive meeting. Maybe Han Qian was lucky, or maybe the senior management couldn't find any other way to save the department store. When the project started, the planning manager was praised, and he also gave Han Qian a hush fee of 10,000 yuan to express his gratitude. Han Qian did not refuse, and prepared his next plan after sending the money to his father. Later, Han Qian misappropriated public funds in various ways to treat his mother's illness. My mother was discharged from the hospital in good health. When Han Qian was preparing the next way to plug the 400,000 hole, the matter was exposed. The police came to the company and investigated Han Qian. He forged academic qualifications, defrauded Changxiang Group, and embezzled public funds. The quality control made Han Qian give up his defense. At the same time, Changxiang Group's legal department also appealed against Han Qian. At the same time, the manager of the planning department also confessed that the planning project was done by Han Qian. After confessing everything at the police station, Han Qian was thrown into jail to wait for the court hearing. He waited for a month. Just when Han Qian was desperate, he suddenly learned that the legal department of Changxiang Group had withdrawn the lawsuit, claiming that everything was wrong. It was a misunderstanding, and Han Qian is not held responsible for anything. Han Qian was confused when he left the detention center. When a red Romeo Clover stopped in front of him and saw Vice President Wen in the driver's seat, Han Qian understood that it was this fairy sister who solved his trouble for him. Han Qian thinks he is very handsome, but he is not conceited enough to think that he can attract the favor of the beauty of Changxiang Group. Boarding. The warm voice is just like her name, very warm. The first impression given by Wen is that she is slender. Her height of 1.72 meters stands out among women, and her standard oval face makes her stand out above the beauties with red faces. Wen does not give people a stunning feeling, but gives people the warmth of bathing in the spring breeze. Feel. Her pair of slender legs brings not only stunning effect, but visual impact. After getting in the car, Nuan threw him a contract. I want to make a deal with you now. It may sound ridiculous, but you'd better listen to me. If you agree, I will not only ask the people from the legal department to withdraw the lawsuit, but also pay off your debt of 400,000 yuan. You refuse and I will send you back to jail. Han Qian frowned and looked at the big words on the contract. Marriage contract. After a brief look, Han Qian frowned and replied. Are you and I getting married? You have to wait for your childhood sweetheart to come back from studying abroad, and I need to be your flower protector in the past 3 years. Nuan replied in a low voice with a strange look on his face. You are not qualified to protect the flowers, but you are right. I want to wait for him to come back. I have discussed this matter with him. My parents don't like him and don't want me to be with him. They force me to have to get married this year, or take back my shares in Changxiang. Your task is to help me cope with my parents. Of course, if you need me, I can also satisfy you in front of your parents. The premise is that if you need it, it won't delay you for too long, he will be back in 3 years at most. Han Qian nodded lightly. He did not feel that it was an honor to marry such a beautiful woman as Wen Nuan. Instead, he felt a sense of disgust in his heart. Of course, Wen Nuan didn't care about this, she continued. For 3 years, you lived in my house as a full-time wife and took care of my daily life. But you and I were just a couple in name. After marriage, I lived in the attic and you were on the first floor. If you had any undue affection for me, you would, I think, if anything happens to me, the legal department of Changxiang Group will sue you. In addition, I have found out your family background. Your mother needs a lot of supplements after being discharged from the hospital. I can satisfy you. Once you get married, you will file for divorce within 3 years. Repay the debt I repaid for you 10 times, totaling 4 million. Decide whether to sign or go back to jail. This woman is not as gentle as her appearance, nor as warm as her name. Han Qian turned to look at Wen Nuan. Getting the certificate today? I may have to go home to get the household registration book. You don't have to go to such trouble, as long as you bring your ID card and people, it's fine. Besides, your plan is very good. The board of directors and my dad have seen it and think it will change the current situation of the department store. The manager of the department store wants to thank you. In the past 3 years, Wen Nuan has taken great care of Han Qian. When Han Qian's parents came to the city to visit, she would warmly receive Han Qian and allow him to live at home. They would spend the holidays at the Wen family every year and return to the Han family during the New Year. Han Qian and Wen seemed to have grown up. Get used to this kind of life. But now Han Qian has filed for divorce, 2 months away from 3 years. Wen Nuan put down the chopsticks in his hand and looked at Han Qian, frowning and asked. Have you thought about it? You want to compensate me 4 million yuan when you file for divorce. The total savings in your hand now is only 6,000 yuan. I will not refuse 4 million yuan because of a 3-year relationship. I can change it to a car. Han Qian smiled and nodded. Get a divorce. If it seems a little bad for us to be divorced when he comes back, thank you for taking care of me in the past 3 years. I will find a way to pay you back the 4 million I owe you within a year. Continue to defraud. I admit that you are very capable, but making 4 million a year is impossible for someone like you. Do you know how much trouble it will cause me if you file for divorce now? If you don't return it to me within a year, I will send you back to prison. Nuan had a somewhat threatening tone. She didn't want to get divorced yet. 3 years had made her accustomed to having a guy named Han Qian by her side. Han Qian nodded and smiled again. Do you have time today? Are you going to go through the divorce procedures this afternoon? The proud character made Nuan Wen not give Han Qian a chance, and there was no need for afternoon. The two people walked out within 10 minutes after the Civil Affairs Bureau opened. Wen Nuan didn't even look at Han Qian and drove away, leaving Han Qian outside the door. The eyes are full of bitterness. Before driving 200 meters, a phone call made Nuan park the car on the side of the road. He took a few deep breaths before answering the call. As soon as the call was connected, a familiar yet unfamiliar voice came from the other side. Xiao Nuan, why was he the one who answered the call last night? I was very happy to tell you that I will return to China in 1 month, and the air tickets have been booked. I will be the first to tell you, but wait for me. When he finished speaking, he actually told me that he knew it. Could it be that you have already? Wen Nuan was stunned for a moment, frowned and asked. Lin Zongheng, please put away the filth in your mind. My mobile phone was left on the first floor last night. Is there anything else? I'm very busy. Lin Zongheng, the only son of the chairman of Changxiang Group and his warm childhood sweetheart. Warmth. The only daughter of the second largest shareholder of Changxiang Group, she has been in love with the handsome and elegant brother Zongheng since she was a child. Listening to the call that was quickly hung up after a woman's voice came from the phone, Wen Nuan suddenly felt that her head was absolutely pierced when she was a child. She actually liked this promiscuous man. She quickly threw the phone back into the car, turned around and looked at the squatting person at the Civil Affairs Bureau. The man smoking in front of the steps frowned and whispered softly. It turns out he knows how to smoke. This year. Warm 26 years old. Han Qian is 25 years old. P.S. Because the time code is only available in the middle of the night, if there are typos, please leave a comment. I will correct the minor ones. Thank you for your support. Just give me a vote. The revised chapter from April 11th said it's not a single heroine, so don't ask me. My head hurts. Regarding the comment section, the discussion can be casual. Anyone who curses will be deleted, whether it's me or someone else. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 2. After the divorce and being disgusted by Lin Zongheng, Wen Nuan really couldn't muster the interest to go to work. Vice President Wen, who had never been absent from work for no reason, magically absented himself from work. He drove back to Xingjia Palace, opened the door and kicked off his shoes, threw away his cell phone and bag and walked directly into the bedroom. Li Jinhe, who had not yet gotten up, tilted his head. He looked at his precious daughter, and then he was hugged by her. Mom, Han Qian and I are divorced. The Wen family at 11 o'clock. Wen Nuan was forced to sit on a small horse and face the interrogation of her parents. Old Wen was a doting child, but today he did not protect his precious daughter and allowed her to be preached to. Xiao Wen, you are really ignorant. You have been bullying Han Qian and I won't talk about you. I also bullied your father, but how can you get divorced? In the past 3 years, you have been going smoothly at work. Who has been helping you behind your back? Hearing this, Lao Wen quickly gave Li Jinhe a look, but unfortunately he was ignored. Li Jinhe, who was born in the army, had a fierce character. He slapped the father and daughter on the coffee table, making the father and daughter tremble and shouted angrily. Do you think your computer is really smart? Do you think you can really sleepwalk and handle work? Which of your jobs was not done by Han Qian, who called your dad in the middle of the night to discuss doing it for you? Taking care of you at home is a waste. Thanks to Han Qian's skills, breakfast is prepared for you, bath water is put out for you, and even underwear is washed by Han Qian. I don't know who told me happily last time that it's great to have a man at home. Now, you told me that you and Han Qian are divorced? How many times has Han Qian been unlucky enough to meet someone like you? The scolded Nuan lost his composure on his face, and he puffed up his chest and retorted. Am I your daughter or is Han Qian your son? Let me tell you. It was Han Qian who filed for divorce, and it was your daughter who was dumped. Han Qian filed for divorce? Lao Wen quit on the spot, noisily taking out his cell phone to question this boy. How could his Wen Xiao daughter be unworthy of you, a little bastard? Unfortunately, Li Jinhe shouted angrily before the call was broadcast. You still have the nerve to call Han Qian and ask Han Qian? Aren't you afraid that Han Qian will say a warm word that he has another man in his heart? Isn't she just waiting for that little brat from the Lin family to come back? Do you think it's me or Han Qian who doesn't know? Nuan, let me tell you, if you dare to be with the Lin family's little brat, I will take back all the shares in your hands, take back all your property, and then I will watch the Lin family's little brat kick you away. The shares belong to my father. You ask if your dad dares to give it to you. Old Wen, do you want to practice military-style boxing? Lao Wen glared at his wife. This time he stood on her side, frowned and looked at Xiang Nuan, and asked softly. Did you tell Han Qian that Lin Zongheng was coming back before he divorced you? It's so warm. Men understand men, and Han Qian is a responsible man. Lin Zongheng is abroad, and the folk customs abroad are more open. Will a man be honest abroad? I have the same idea as your mother, and I will not agree with you and Lin Zongheng being together. Nuan raised his head and looked at his parents angrily, frowning and gritting his teeth angrily. It's Han Qian who doesn't want your daughter now, it's not that I don't want Han Qian. That's right. Last night Lin Zongheng called me and told me that he was going back to China and that he would marry me when he came back. It was Han Qian who answered the phone. Today he has filed for divorce a long time ago. What use do you think I have? I am the one who wants the divorce. Well, Han Qian, just go find Han Qian. Facing Wen Nuan's resistance, Li Jinhe obviously didn't take it seriously. He looked at his daughter with sarcastic eyes and curled his lips. Do you think I, a mother, can't see your little tricks? Lin Zongheng is coming back, right? Okay. Your house is in my name. I will sell it at half the price tomorrow. Since we are divorced, I will come back. If you dare to come back after 9 o'clock in the evening, I will break your legs. If you want to fall in love in the future, anyone can do it, but you can't be with Lin Zongheng. Today I put my words here, I can't go anywhere today. I'm going to find Han Qian now and ask him why he wants a divorce. Nuan. You'd better hope Han Qian doesn't tell me the truth. After saying this, Li Jinhe stood up and gave Lao Wen a threatening look. If he dared to let Wen Nuan go out, he would never have a good life. Li Jinhe, who was born in the army, would never talk in a roundabout way, nor would she persuade Wen Nuan with gentle words, because Lao Wen played this role. If she didn't be more forceful, no one in the family would be able to control this girl. Li Jinhe went back to the room, took out a real estate certificate, and glared at Wen Nuan. If you don't want your second uncle to come out to arrest you, just stay at home. I will sell the house today and then find Han Qian. You can do whatever you want. You picked me up. You go find your son Han Qian, Lao Wen. I'm so wronged. Daughter, there is nothing we can do for old Wen. However, your mother's force level is too high, and old Wen is just a little guy. The father and daughter looked at each other and sighed, then got up and went back to the bedroom. At this moment, Han Qian was wandering on the road without knowing where to go. The antique in his pocket suddenly buzzed. Looking at the 3 words mother-in-law on the screen, Han Qian's sweat instantly flowed down his forehead. Mother-in-law is definitely a ruthless character. He answered the phone tremblingly and said in a shaky voice. Hello. 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 Little bastard, Did I give you a smile? Hello. Just say hello and try. I'll call the army and kill you, little bastard. Mom, 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 I was wrong. Well. You are so good. You haven't eaten at noon. I'm waiting for you in the common people's kitchen. I'll ask you about your divorce with Wen Nuan. Do you dare to come? If I dare not go, you will send troops to catch me in 10 minutes. I will rush over even if I die. 8 minutes. Mother-in-law is such a role. Not only Wen Nuan and Lao Wen are afraid of her, but Han Qian is also afraid, and Lin Zongheng, who is far away from abroad, is also afraid, because Li Jinhe really led his troops to beat Lao Wen. The weather was very hot at noon in summer. Han Qian, who couldn't get a taxi, jogged all the way. When he walked into the private room, his mother-in-law took out his mobile phone and seemed to want to make a call. Mom, you are so anxious to find me. Han Qian didn't dare to sit down. Li Jinhe looked at his panting son-in-law and nodded lightly. It's not bad. After the divorce, you still take me as your mother-in-law seriously. Tell me why you divorced Wen Nuan. If you think about your answer carefully, I might really beat you to death. Han Qian was in a dilemma. He stood there scratching his head and scratching his cheeks. Finally, he had the courage to lower his head and whispered. Mom. I can't do it, I'm not a man. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 3. Let's go to the hospital. I'll call Nuan now and ask her to come over and stay with you. There was nothing Han Qian could do about his mother-in-law. She was not a woman at all. She was definitely a boss in the game who could kill players at will. She might also be a max-level boss who landed in the novice village. He definitely couldn't go to the hospital. If Li Jinhe knew that he was lying, Han Qian would be in real danger. Han Qian sighed, sat on the chair, and whispered. Mom, my marriage to Nuan was just a deal. When I was in trouble, my mother needed 400,000 yuan for surgery. I had no choice but to make a mistake. It was I who begged Nuan to save me. It was he who took advantage of me when we got married. I helped her deal with you and your two elders. Now that the contract time has come, I can't delay my warm youth. There was no other way. Trying to be clever in front of Li Jinhe would only lead to a worse death, so he could only explain it honestly, but when doing so, Han Qian put all the blame on himself. But Li Jinhe's attention no longer seemed to be on their agreement to get married. Instead, he frowned and asked Han Qian, is she very old? No, no, no. You are not old at all. Li Jinhe replied calmly. There's a word missing. Mom. You are not old at all. When you go out, you always say that you and Nuan are sisters. Li Jinhe was satisfied and then spoke. Marriage by agreement, I can think that you have been in love for the past 3 years. This kid, Nuan, does have a lot of shortcomings. He is obviously very slovenly, but he claims that he has misophobia and has no life skills. Apart from academic qualifications, he has good looks and nothing else. That's the advantage. Do you think you don't like warmth at all? You should have feelings even if you have a dog by your side for 3 years, oh. I'm not saying you are a dog, I am saying warmth. Tough mother-in-law. Han Qian's forehead didn't stop sweating, so he wiped the sweat and whispered. Mom. You also know my origin. If it weren't for my clues, there would never be a girl like Wen Nuan talking to me in this life. This thing has to be about being from the right family. Even if I like Wen Nuan, I won't. Yes, she likes someone else. You mean the little bastard of the Lin family? None of the men in the Lin family are sociable. Isn't Lin Zongheng interested in Wen Wen's shares in Changxiang Group 17? Only a fool like Wen Wen can think that her brother Zongheng she really likes her. You said you told Buletin's mother before the divorce. What should I do now? Lin Zongheng is back. Nguyen Wen, a fool like me, wants to fly into the flames. Could it be that I want to give Lao Wen's lifelong efforts to the Lin family? I regret not having a baby. Han Qian really didn't dare to answer these words, and it didn't matter if he nodded or shook his head. But fortunately, Li Jinhe didn't embarrass him too much. He took out 10,000 yuan from his bag and threw it to Han Qian. If you get divorced, you get divorced. I, Li Jinhe, am not the kind of old-fashioned person. In the past 3 years, you have called me mom. Now you are not my son-in-law, but also my half-son. You are warm and narrow-minded. You can have more than 10,000 yuan in your hands. It's all in vain for me, Li Jinhe, so take it and use it first. Don't think about leaving the city. If something happens to Lao Wen and I in the future, I will have to ask you to come over and take care of things. If you dare to refuse me, let the people in the army break down for me. I won't refuse unless I refuse. The taker has short hands, and it's not a small amount. But Han Qian really didn't dare not take it. He realized his mother-in-law's toughness in a day or two. During the meal, Li Jinhe suddenly spoke. Can you convince the public by enjoying the warmth? Han Qian, who was eating a big meal, nodded and said seriously. The original planning project has been completed. The department store has been renamed Uniform Nation, and the leasing of the stores has been cancelled. The company will sell everything by itself, at the lowest price acceptable to the elderly. The social response has been good, and it has also given middle-aged and elderly people a chance to. The daily turnover of the consumption place is about hundreds of thousands. Although we don't make much, it is mainly due to the social response. Compared with the honor department store, our place seems more lively. All these things are done in a warm and responsible manner. It should be it also got recognition, and then I gave her some other plans, big and small, and the response was good, but they were not big and not worth mentioning. Why did Li Jinhe find the son-in-law so pleasing to his eyes? His handsome appearance matched his warmth, and he was also very talented. He squinted at Han Qian and smiled. Would you like to return to Changxiang Group? I can ask Lao Wen to give you a job as the head of the planning department. Han Qian smiled bitterly and shook his head. Mom, please stop making trouble. When I go back to Changxiang Nuanuan, you still think I am chasing after her. If you get divorced, just keep some distance. Besides, the employees at Changxiang don't know about my relationship with Nuanuan. The senior management can't see it. It's my ex-husband's fault and I can't go back to enjoy it. Besides, that person is coming back. After all, I am also a warm ex-husband. Seeing my ex-wife walking with other men makes me feel uncomfortable, so. Can you just let this little dog live? Li Jinhe's expression was obviously disappointed and he sighed softly. All the pride in your bones was used on us, but you didn't give any warmth to this little white-eyed wolf. She foolishly thought that all your abilities were taught by her. Since you insist on this, I won't embarrass you, Han Qian, you are only 25 years old, right? Han Qian was slightly startled when his age was mentioned, and then nodded with a smile. Yeah, 25 years old. 25 years old is still young, don't be in a hurry to get married. When you meet the girl you like, tell your mother. If she is too soft, we will kill her with money. If not, I will give in. If it doesn't work, just pull the troops, right? I won't fall in love in a short time. I want to solve the trouble first, and then buy a house in the city. I am thinking about love. Mom, you should go play mahjong. This is already the time. This is Aunt Zhao's fourth call. While talking, Li Jinhe's cell phone rang. The latest model of Apple IVs, priced at 7 to 8,000, stopped Han Qian. Li Jinhe answered the phone and cursed. Hurry, hurry, hurry. I'm having a meal with my son-in-law, you guys are rushing me, are you waiting for me to win your money? Hey? Where is Xiao Qian with you? Bring it back together so that my sister can enjoy it. Xiao Qian is a good cook. Your brother-in-law is not at home tonight. Bah! Don't seduce my son-in-law, shameless. There are a lot of male dogs out there, Han Qian. Your Aunt Zhao asked you if you are going, you. Go. Han Qian shook his head quickly. No, no, Aunt Zhao, I have something to do in the afternoon. I have to buy groceries for Nuan. At this point, Han Qian was suddenly stunned. It turns out that life really does form habits. The mature sister on the phone gritted her teeth and said angrily. Call sister. Li Jinhe, come here and die. The tough mother-in-law left and drove a very low Kia 6. Han Qian returned to the street with a bitter look on his face, and then clenched his fists. A new life is about to begin. Go buy cigarettes. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 4. Han Qian's mentality was relatively optimistic. After buying a pack of cigarettes, Han Qian went to an agency to look for a house. Finally, he chose a high-priced house with a duplex structure on the top floor. The debt of 4 million cannot be saved by frugality. Enough, saving alone is not enough to pay off debt. The landlady was a nice person. During the chat, she learned that Han Qian was looking for a job and did not have a fixed income. She made an exception and allowed Han Qian to pay once a month, but he still had to pay a month's deposit, which was 2,500 yuan a month. Han Qian's heart was bleeding when he handed over the 5,000 yuan to the landlady. During the chat, Han Qian also learned some things about the landlady. He was single with a child. The child was already in the 3rd grade of junior high school, and her husband made money in business. After he got rich, he started squandering it, looking for women, and going to casinos. In just a few years, he lost all his money. Finally, he gritted his teeth and stomped off the building and committed suicide. He left behind 2 houses, the landlord's sister and her son. I live on the 2nd floor, and the 11th floor is rented to Han Qian. Opening the door, you are facing a living room that is not too spacious. On the left is the sink, and on the inside is the bathroom. On the right is a shoe cabinet screen, and inside is the kitchen. Behind the wall that separates the kitchen and living room is the staircase leading to the 2nd floor. There are 2 bedrooms in the north and south on the 2nd floor, with a bathroom in the middle, and another bedroom behind the TV wall on the 1st floor. Han Qian is very satisfied with the small duplex with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. After all, the rent costs 2,500 yuan a month. Han Qian is glad that he is not in a first-tier city like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. Otherwise, even living in it would be a problem. The house has everything it should have. The TV, sofa, and tableware in the cupboard are all new. The only thing missing is that there are no beddings, and Han Qian wouldn't use them if he had them. After taking a look at the house, Han Qian was about to go downstairs to buy some daily necessities when there was a knock on the door. Han Qian opened the door curiously and found that the landlady was coming with some daily necessities. Sister works in a supermarket, so it doesn't cost much to buy these things. If you don't mind, just use them. They're all new. Looking at the toothbrush, towels, etc. in the landlady's hands, Han Qian took them with a smile, paid those without paying, and smiled at the landlady. You are more friendly to me than my relatives when I meet you, so I won't be polite. In the future, if your children have something they don't understand about their studies, you can always ask them to come over and ask me. After all, my grades in junior high and high school are pretty good. Okay. Sister, I think you are a serious young man. I will introduce you to the girl you like when you find her. Just be busy, and I won't disturb you anymore. The landlady came suddenly and left in a hurry. Han Qian looked at the toothbrush in his hand and smiled. He didn't think it was because he gave her too much money, he only felt the kindness of the person. Han Qian, who has been staying at home as a full-time wife for the past 3 years, has not interacted with people for a long time. Han Qian spent all afternoon sweeping outside. He suddenly felt that such a life was very comfortable. Without warmth, his mother would not be able to pay for the surgery, and he would not have the freedom he has now. Although 3 years of life have restricted him, but his starting point now is higher than those who have just walked out of the school gate. After buying a bed and quilt, Han Qian gritted his teeth and reluctantly spent 700 yuan to buy a third-hand laptop. It seemed that it could only surf the internet. Even if he had other hobbies, Han Qian didn't understand it. He didn't know much about computers. During this period, he went to the bank and transferred 8,000 yuan to his mother, but did not tell him about his divorce from Nuan. My mother treats Wen Nuan just like Li Jinhe treats Han Qian. Although she will not give Wen Nuan any material satisfaction, my mother gives Wen the warmth of a mother that he has never felt before, while Li Jinhe makes Han Qian feel something that he has never felt before. Of severity. It was common to twist ears and slap shoulders. Li Jinhe did this not only to Han Qian, but also to Nuan and Lao Wen. Han Qian only had 2,000 yuan left in his hand, of which 1,000 was used for living expenses, and the rest was used for emergencies. The first thing he did when he turned on the computer was to search the honor group. However, this rising star could be with Changxiang branch. Confronting conglomerates. As long as Changxiang Group is involved in the industry Glory, there is an industry. Real estate, shopping malls, electronics, restaurants, medicine. Glory Group Planning Department. This is Han Qian's ultimate goal. Han Qian is ready to return to his old career, but he will no longer take risks under pressure, and he will not overly highlight himself when he goes to Glory. Changxiang has already suffered this loss. The warmth on the other side is already on the verge of collapse. The house was sold, and Li Jinhe told Wen Nuan in an understatement that he lost the house to her Aunt Zhao while playing mahjong. If he had any objections, he should go to the person named Zhao. Nuan kept a distance from Aunt Zhao, who had forced herself to be called Sister Zhao since she was a child. This disrespectful elder would chase her and ask how Han Qian's physical strength was, which made Nuan not know what to do. To answer. Warmth and purity are like a blank sheet of paper in this regard. I dialed Lin Zongheng's number in an irritated mood. I originally wanted to find some comfort and ask him when he would come back, but he made 3 calls in a row and was hung up. Finally, Nuan sent a message telling Lin Zongheng that if he didn't after answering the phone, there is no need to contact you again. Then the phone call came, and Nuan hung up within 3 seconds of being connected. Although she did not object to Lin Zongheng having a woman in a foreign country, she could not accept the fact that he was doing that and called him. Not long after, the phone call came again. Nuan talked about her grievances, but Lin Zongheng kept asking. Focusing on why the man answered the phone, he asked Nuan if something happened to them. Instead of being comforted, the grievances in her heart were met with suspicion. When Nuan hung up the phone angrily and sat on the bed to ask herself. Do you really like Lin Zongheng? Still regard him as a spiritual sustenance. It has been 3 years, he has been abroad for 3 years. In fact, time has diluted everything. When Wen Nuan and Han Qian had just gotten married, they would chat on the ocean phone until late into the night. As time passed, the late night shortened to an hour. In the end, Han Qian would hang up the phone because he called out to eat. The figure of Han Qian suddenly appeared in her mind. When the pervert broke in through the door claiming to be a courier, Han Qian covered in foam stood in front of her and drove the pervert away. During the most uncomfortable days of the month, Han Qian would get up early and cook a bowl of fish head and tofu soup, or maybe pork rib soup, and prepare ginger and wolfberry water in a thermos cup for her to take to the company. Wen Nuan was confused for a moment. Originally, Lin Zongheng's figure became increasingly blurry, but Han Qian's appearance became clearer and clearer. Nuan couldn't bear this. She was dumped by Han Qian. She was not allowed to think of this man in such a situation. Feeling that she was about to collapse, Nuan picked up her keys and mobile phone and rushed out of the house. On the road, Romeo Four-Leaf Clover galloped past the empty road at a speed of 120 miles, like a ghost. The bright red Romeo parked at the door of a bar immediately attracted attention, not because of how expensive the car was, but because the woman stepping out of the car made the animals outside the door widen their eyes. A white t-shirt paired with a pair of light-colored jeans makes her legs more slender. A simple ponytail with no makeup makes her look out of place here. Looking at this strange place, Nuan mustered up the courage to walk into this place that she had never been to before and was very resistant to it. But she needed to vent. Warmth has no friends. I think I need support. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 5. Everyone comes to the bar for a different purpose. Some come to have fun, some come to have fun, some come to get drunk, and some come to have an affair. The appearance of warmth makes most men in the bar forget their purpose of coming. Now there is only one goal. Hunting for beauty. I am used to eating roses, but I discovered what I like when I met the fragrant lily. The most important thing is that this woman's family is very rich, her clothes and mobile phone are very ordinary, and they are available for public consumption, but the Cartier bracelet on her wrist is not a small sum. A man always fantasizes about a beautiful woman who is attracted to him, and this woman is very rich. Even if he does not need her to support him, at least he does not need to spend money to support her. Men always have inexplicable confidence, especially drunk men. Many people have failed to strike up a conversation. This pure lily sat in front of the bar, drinking expensive red wine one glass at a time, turning a blind eye to the bartender showing off his bartending skills, and just asked him to pour wine one glass at a time. The more Wen Nuan drank, the angrier he became. How could he think of Han Qian unfavorably? In addition to cooking better, tidying up the room neatly, washing clothes cleanly, being smarter, and being handsome, he had other advantages. The most important thing is that this guy dared to file for divorce. Did he, Han Qian, dump me on Wen Nuan? Nuan, who was already drunk, didn't realize that Lin Zongheng was not in his mind at all. Wine doesn't make you drunk, you make yourself drunk. You are so beautiful, can you give me a chance to buy you a drink? I can't remember the first time this person came over to strike up a conversation. Wen Nuan just wanted to drink quietly by myself. He turned around and glanced at this man who was about 40 years old and dressed in brand name clothes. Wen Nuan frowned and asked. Have an annual salary of 6 figures? Have a watch worth more than $1 million? Have relatives at the deputy department level at home? Do I need a glass of wine from you? The middle-aged man smiled and turned to leave. In his tone, he could feel that the woman was not asking him, but telling her that she had what she said. After driving away a chatter, Nuan was about to get up and leave when a chatter came next to him. He was 23 or 4 years old, dressed very fashionably, with his hair dyed white and eyes without frames. This person he is not as gentleman as the middle-aged uncle. He will take action without saying a word. When Nuan frowns and avoids it, picks up the phone and leaves. Young people in society would not let go of such a delicate flower easily. He opened his arms to stop Wen, looked at Wen up and down with lewd eyes and smiled. Sister, give me some face. Are your friends over there looking at you? Isn't it good for you? Come over and have a drink, right? It's so lonely when there are many people. How can uncle understand the world of young people? My sister's legs are so beautiful. Do you mind if your brother touches you? Roll. After Nuan spoke, he splashed the wine in the glass on the face of the young man in society. The middle-aged uncle who was about to leave in the distance turned back and sat not far away. He seemed to be waiting for the chance of a hero to save the beauty. The young man who was completely embarrassed stopped pretending, gritted his teeth and cursed a bitch, and raised his hand to use force, but his hand did not fall, and someone grabbed his wrist, and a fat man appeared next to the young man. Very fat. He was not tall, about 1.75 meters tall, but weighed about 230 to 40 pounds. The fat man looked very cute. He grabbed the young man's hand and sneered. "Zhang Haoyi, do you want to be carried out if you use violence here? Not everyone should be touched by you, you know." Zhang Haoyi's friends in the distance also noticed something strange here, and they all stood up and came forward, but the little fat man didn't even look at it. He grabbed Zhang Haoyi's arm and threw it aside, and then smiled softly at Wen Nuan. "Sister-in-law, why did you come here by yourself?" The drunken Wen Nuan looked at the fat man in front of him in confusion, tilted his head and asked curiously. "Han Qian's younger brother. Bear me down, brother. My surname is Ma. Just call me Kexin. My uncle's sister opened the bar with others. I often come here." "Sister-in-law, did you drive here? It's not safe at this late hour. If these grandchildren are playing tricks, it's not good if it's cloudy. I called Brother Qian just now. The meeting should be here soon. Are you waiting? Han Qian is coming?" Wen Nuan didn't know why he was panicking. He was about to leave the bar tremblingly. The less he wanted to see this guy, the more inseparable he was from him. If Wen Nuan wanted to leave, Zhang Haoyi's people would definitely not agree, and they were clamoring for help. As soon as they explained, Ma Kexin frowned, grabbed a chair, pointed at the troublemakers and cursed angrily. "Don't be so shameless. Do you really think I dare not touch you?" Huazhe went upstairs and told them to stop playing. "Someone is going to cause trouble here. It's all a matter of looking down and not looking up." Zhang Hao, the only pedestrian who knew the virtues of Kxin's friends, gave Kxin a look and was about to leave. At this time, Kxin spoke again. "My sister-in-law's uncle is from our city's public security department. Don't you guys think about scratching your car to vent your anger? Can AA players afford to pay compensation when they come to the bar to play?" Everyone knew something was going wrong, and they were a little scared, so they left in dejection. The middle-aged man in the distance was a little disappointed when he saw that there was no chance for a hero to save the beauty, but he did not leave in a hurry. He wanted to see who the man with this lily was. Wen Nuan staggered to leave, but Kxin kept a distance and followed him, neither supporting nor allowing others to get close, including women. He is the only one among Han Qian's friends who knows the details of Wen Nuan. Everything on his sister-in-law's body is valuable. When Wen Nuan stumbled and was about to walk out of the bar, he bumped into someone who walked into the bar. A princess hugged Wen Nuan in her arms. Ma Kexin turned and left with a smile. People watching the excitement in the bar also understood that it was someone else. "The man is here. You know how to drink? Did you drive here? Did Kexin drive back without Kexin noticing you? And you came to a place like this? If Kexin hadn't been here today, have you ever thought about your end? Ah! Cover your face, what's the point?" Han Qian covered her face with the warmth of the princess's embrace, not wanting Han Qian to see her appearance. Han Qian was too lazy to talk about her and turned around to leave the bar. At this time, a middle-aged man blocked Han Qian's path. In front of him, he said softly, "You can't take her away, I am responsible for this girl's safety." Han Qian, who was about to take a shower and go to bed, heard that Wen Nuan was at the bar and rushed over immediately. He was even more angry when he saw the woman's drunken appearance. Now someone is blocking him. Han Qian frowned at the middle-aged man and said coldly, "What does it have to do with you that I take my wife home? Are you responsible for my wife's safety? We are all men. Don't pretend to be too noble in a place like this." The middle-aged man was not angry and smiled lightly. "Who can prove that she is your woman?" Han Qian looked down at the warm smile in his arms. He also smiled, took out the divorce certificate from his pocket and threw it on the middle-aged man. "My ex-husband's identity is much safer than that of you, a stranger, right? In addition, you can just look at me and don't need to look anywhere else. It turns out we were husband and wife. My little brother is a little sorry. This is my business card. I hope I can make friends with my little brother. No, I don't want anyone to disturb my ex-wife after the divorce. If you are interested, just pick up the divorce certificate for me." As soon as he walked out of the bar, he saw the warmth of the wind and spat out stains all over Han Qian's body. At this moment, Han Qian was about to collapse and gritted his teeth and said angrily, "I should really send you to mom right now. Let mom know that we just got divorced and you came to the bar to get drunk. Give me the car keys." Wen Nuan looked at Han Qian in confusion, struggled and shouted, "It's my mother, not your mother. Then I'll take you back to your mother's house? You don't take your home key with you when you go out? Are you not ready to go home, Nuan Nuan?" Han Qian was a little angry, really a little angry. Nuan Nuan hid in Han Qian's arms like a child who had made a mistake. Not long after, Han Qian heard a choking sound. "Han Qian, I don't have a home anymore. My mother sold my house." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 6. Han Qian, who had slept on the sofa all night, felt pain all over his body when he woke up. He was even more distressed that the bedding he had not touched was occupied by someone. Han Qian was woken up by his mobile phone. The warm mobile phone was noisy before dawn. "Stop." I vaguely picked up the phone and connected the call. Li Jinhe's Buddhist lion roar and cordial greetings were heard from the other side. It probably meant that when you, a little girl, come back, I will definitely skin you. If you dare to sneak away to Washington. It is necessary to sever the relationship between mother and daughter. After hearing the end of Li Jinhe's roar, Han Qian whispered, "Mom, I'm Han Qian, the warmth is here." Beep. The call was hung up, and Han Qian looked at the phone in his hand in confusion. At this time, a text message was sent. "Lao Wen and I are going on a trip. Xiaonuan, please stay at your place. I can rest assured that if you dare to call me, Jun Tiquan will be at your service." Han Qian looked at his phone in confusion. His mother-in-law was not worried about warmth at all. It seems like there is nothing to worry about, they have been living together for 3 years. When Han Qian was confused, Nuan Nuan came down from the second floor, wearing the pajamas that Han Qian hadn't had time to put on, and sleeping on the bedding that Han Qian hadn't had time to sleep on. Wen Nuan seemed very calm. He looked around the room up and down, found the refrigerator, took out a bottle of mineral water, sat down next to Han Qian, tilted his head and said, "What about checking my phone? You didn't check my phone before we were divorced, and you didn't ask me when I was on the phone with Lin Zongheng. Why did you start checking my phone after the divorce? Do you want me to help you?" Han Qian turned his head to look at Wen Nuan, who had not washed his face, closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "Nuan Nuan, if you dare to drink again, I will definitely." "Han Qian, I'm hungry." Nuan Nuan deliberately avoided the topic of drinking. He took the phone and opened the blacklist of the phone in front of Han Qian. It was Lin Zongheng's number. Then he threw the phone on the sofa, got up and jumped into the bathroom to wash up. Looking at Nu Nuan's back, Han Qian felt strange. He had been divorced less than a day and was living together again. Listening to the babble in the bathroom, Han Qian stood up and walked to the kitchen. Fortunately, he had prepared some ingredients last night, otherwise he would have had to eat instant noodles. He sat down to make a traditional Chinese breakfast and conveyed his mother-in-law's words. Mom and Lao Wen went on a trip and said they took away the keys to the house. Mom wants you to stay with me, if you mind. I don't mind. It's not like we haven't lived together before. Han Qian, hurry up. I have to go to work today. Listening to these shameless words, Han Qian almost carried the pot to the bathroom to find warmth. What is this? The marriage was also divorced. The contract was also breached. 4 million in debt and then living together again? Han Qian's heart told him to resist, he must resist, and he took a deep breath. Hurry up and wash up. I have to wash up and go out too. I have to interview for a new job today. After the words fell, Wen Nuan exposed half of his head in the bathroom and said doubtfully. Han Qian, did you wash my clothes when you came back last night? Why don't you stop going to work and become my nanny? Han Qian replied angrily. Then I see my ex-wife lingering with her old love? Even if the two of us are married by agreement, why should I have the dignity that a man should have? Old love? You mean Lin Zongheng? Our old love? Han Qian, are you jealous? Wen Nuan had a mischievous smile on her face, and Han Qian simply ignored her, but her lack of attention made Wen Nuan even more curious. He came to Han Qian's side with his hands behind his back, tilted his body and asked Han Qian with a smile on his face. Are you jealous? You checked my phone this morning and you didn't even frown when you saw Lin Zongheng's number in the blacklist. Are you jealous, right? Han Qian, do you like me? Han Qian said nothing. Nuan continued to ask. When Han Qian was helpless and left the kitchen with breakfast, Nuan suddenly shouted to Han Qian. Han Qian. As long as you say you are jealous, I will not choose Lin Zongheng. Yes. I'm jealous. But you have to have breakfast now, understand? Another unfortunate thing for me is that I have to take care of your humming life again. It's your honor, Han Qian, you don't know, a lot of people joined me for dinner at the bar last night. Neither of them noticed a single thing that was important. The way they get along changed after their divorce. Han Qian was no longer respectful to Nuan. Nuan no longer treats Han Qian like a nanny. She was afraid that Han Qian would ask her about the bar. At the same time, she was in a good mood when she heard Han Qian say he was jealous. She cleared away the gloom and had no objection to living here, while Han Qian was wailing in his heart. My 4 million is worse than the death of Zhao Xi's father. But the money still has to be paid back. This is what the old man taught him since he was a child. As a man, you are not required to be very successful or strong, but you must remember one thing. You must do what you say with every spit and nail. This is a man. Account for yourself. The old man didn't teach Han Qian anything in his life, he just taught him two things. Responsibility and misophobia. Eggs, pickles, rice porridge. When it comes to cooking, whether it was when she got married or now, Nuan has never had a say. She likes milk bread for breakfast and bitter coffee to refresh herself. Han Qian spent 3 years getting Nuan used to steamed buns and millet. For breakfast, porridge and coffee were replaced with milk. During the meal, Han Qian received a reply from the honor group, telling him that he could come to the company if he had time today to meet and talk. This result was what Han Qian wanted. What he was afraid of was asking questions on the phone or in emails. As long as once we meet, things will be easier to handle. After the meal, when Nguyen shouted that she was going to be late, Han Qian saw clearly that she didn't want to wash the dishes, and he didn't care about the woman. He put away the dishes and changed clothes to prepare for the experience challenge. Carrying a debt of 4 million yuan did not make Han Qian feel that his life had become gloomy. Instead, it gave him the motivation to work hard. It was also this huge debt that made it impossible for him to continue to live a leisurely life for those 3 years. He definitely couldn't bear to take a taxi. He squeezed into the bus and staggered all the way to the headquarters of Honor Group. Looking at the dozens of high-rise buildings, Han Qian was a little confused. Why was there no one in the square outside the company during work hours? No. What is this brand? Be careful of vehicles on the left and right. Are you in the wrong place? As he took a deep breath and straightened his chest, preparing to face a new challenge, a bright red raptor passed by in front of him, wiping his nose. The original confidence and preparation were frightened and disappeared in an instant. When I regained my senses, the raptor had stopped in the distance. A woman got out of the car. She was wearing a black hip-covering skirt and a pair of high heels about 7 to 8 centimeters. The woman, she has a very hot figure and wears bold clothes, but in Han Qian's eyes, this bitch is the murderer who almost killed him. Before she could come forward to argue, the hot-figured woman ran away and disappeared through the door of Glory Group. Han Qian held his chin and thought quietly in his mind. Juniors don't look like good friends. It's silver. Not human. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 7. In the interview office of the Human Resources Department of Honor Group, Han Qian was sitting on a chair. Opposite him were 3 interviewers, 2 men and 1 woman. This feeling reminded Han Qian of the scene of being interrogated at the police station. The female interviewer sitting in the middle spoke first. Let me introduce myself first. My surname is Song. I am the manager of the Human Resources Department. I will ask you to understand. These 2 will make a decision based on your answers and experience. In the end, whether we can achieve cooperation between you and the company. In the Honor Group, all employees have a cooperative relationship with the company, and there is no employment. In addition, the Honor Group is a little more humane than other groups. Now I will introduce the company's system to you first, and you can consider whether to continue the interview. Manager Song's expression was gentle and there was no condescension in his words. This made Han Qian very comfortable. After learning about the company's system, he shouted that Chang Xiang was not unjust and that the Honor Group's system and benefits for employees were very good. 2 days off a week, 9 to 5, and extra subsidies and bonuses for overtime work. Accommodation will be provided in winter. In our own hotel, employees on vacation will not be forced to come back to work overtime, but if the position he is responsible for is released. If there is a problem, you must return to the company for rectification without any reason. Salary is base salary and commission and bonus. Office romance is not rejected, but it cannot delay work or ruin the office atmosphere. Honor Group does not have a fine system. If you are late for 1 hour, you will have to wait 2 hours before you can get off work. The company has only 1 penalty. Expelled. Han Qian said he could accept the company's system, and Manager Song narrowed his eyes and smiled. Compared to Changxiang Group, we at Honor treat our employees more humanely. When you come to work, you are not signing a contract of betrayal. Now I want to ask you a question. When you are satisfied with us, we also need to be satisfied with you. First of all, do something self-introduction. Han Qian smiled back and said softly. Han Qian, Han nationality, 25 years old, divorced, has 3 years of work experience in the planning department of Changxiang Group, has planned some small projects, and also participated in the planning of the military uniform world of Changxiang Group. His education is only high school, and he appears in the big family. Accident, dropped out of school. I would like to ask you the reason for your divorce. There is a huge difference between my ex-wife and my family background. I don't want to delay it and want to give her a better future. Okay, you said you participated in the planning of the uniform world. Which one are you mainly responsible for? Choose customer sources and create a monopoly. If you were asked to come up with a plan to deal with the military world, where would you start? I think there is no need to target military world. It is just a low-end brand, and its main customers are mostly middle-aged and elderly people. Military world is just a way to save Changxiang department store. It has no choice but to transform. Glory department store mainly attracts money through gold stores, luxury goods counters and video arcades. It is unnecessary to imitate a military world, and the result will not be very good. Last question, why did you leave Changxiang Group? Does being far away from home count as a reason? After the divorce, I left the house. Okay, I will give you a reply tomorrow night at the latest. I look forward to cooperating with Mr. Han. It's over? Han Qian was a little confused. He just asked a few questions and ended it? Don't ask about his abilities. When Han Qian stood up, he was still a little confused and a little less confident. He originally thought he would ask a lot of questions and thought of many answers, but there was no use for them. Han Qian was still in a confused state when he walked out of the room. When he stepped out with one foot, he suddenly turned back and asked a question. Is that Raptor downstairs your company's car? As soon as this question came out, the three interviewers all looked a little embarrassed. Manager Song stood up and said awkwardly. Mr. Han is not injured, is he? This car does belong to the company, it's just. Oh. I know. When I see the owner of the car, I will slap her twice. Don't blame me for being rude. She almost killed me while wearing 8-centimeter high heels. Han Qian left, leaving the three interviewers looking at each other, wondering whether they should record the last sentence. This is not the first time that my aunt has driven in high heels, and everyone in the company knows that you must not cross the square around 9 o'clock in the morning, you must not skip the car, and you must use the pedestrian corridor. Manager Song sighed. I feel good. I can stay and give it a try first. Anyway, the company has a 1-month trial period, and the contract will also state that he will be asked to leave without any reason within 1 month. As for the fact that he was almost hit, just treat it as such, it's a meeting gift for our aunt, after all, we have all experienced it. This has become a tradition of the honor group. Han Qian, who was waiting for the elevator, was filled with fear. He was also thinking about whether it was retribution for the divorce. Li Jinhe took care of his front and back legs after the divorce, and then the warmth came back. He was almost hit by a car this morning, and the interview was not ideal. Ding! The elevator opened. As soon as Han Qian took a step out with his mind full of weird thoughts, he felt a softness in his chest. Before he could see clearly what it was in front of him, he received a heavy punch in his lower abdomen, and then a sharp sound came from his ears. Cursed! You walk without eyes? Do you want to die by taking advantage of me? Before he finished speaking, someone grabbed Han Qian's hair. After being punched and having his hair grabbed, Han Qian was furious. He reached out and grabbed the woman's hair. The woman screamed and her high heels hit her hard. On Han Qian's shoes, Han Qian's wailing followed. At this moment, Han Qian has seen the person in front of him clearly. He is wearing a black hip-hugging skirt and a pair of 8-centimeter high heels. However, his hair is disheveled and he can't see his face clearly. It doesn't matter whether he can see his face or not. What's important is that I almost got hit to death by this woman. Ah! You tell me which department you are in, I will fire you now, please let me go. As she spoke, the woman's hand tightened, and Han Qian, who considered himself not a gentleman, showed no mercy and gritted his teeth angrily. I'm not from your company, and you almost hit me downstairs. I was worried that I had no place to look for you. The chaos attracted onlookers, and the three people responsible for the interview also hurried over because these two voices were so familiar to them. Manager Song from the HR department was instantly confused when he saw the scene in front of him. How could this? He trotted forward and pulled the two of them away, gently punched Han Qian on the shoulder with his fist, and said urgently, Han Qian, please let go. Mr. Yan, please let go too. The employees are watching. Han Qian, please let go first. Mr. Yan is a girl. Mr. Yan? Han Qian frowned and opened his hand, but to his surprise, the woman refused to let go and opened her mouth to bite his neck. Upon seeing this, Manager Song quickly persuaded and stopped him, and persuaded Mr. Yan to let go of his hand. The two of them glared at each other in embarrassment. Yan Qingqing bent down and was about to take off her shoes and kill the man. Manager Song hugged Mr. Yan tightly to persuade him, and then motioned to Han Qian to leave first. She would call later to apologize on behalf of Mr. Yan. Han Qian walked into the elevator with a snort, took off the tie around his neck, and snorted. Unlucky. After one person left, it became quiet. Yan Qingqing arranged her hair and said softly, Manager Song, do you know this person? Manager Song helped adjust her short skirt and replied softly, Mr. Yan, he came for the interview today. He was almost killed by you downstairs just now. Ah, I know. I get upset when I see a handsome guy. I can only look at him but I can't eat. What's the point of keeping him if I don't kill him? For an interview? Tell him to come to work tomorrow, humph. You're grabbing my hair and taking advantage of me? If I can't kill you, what's his name? Han Qian. Han Qian? It sounds familiar, damn. I can't remember it. Manager Song, go tell the managers of the project department and planning department and ask them to send me the results of that piece of land today. I'm so annoyed. Damn it. Then it's annoying to see handsome guys. Yan Qingqing left. When she left, she lifted up her skirt and tugged on her safety pants. Everyone was angry but dared not speak. Everything about the company is good, but the general manager is creepy. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 8. Mr. Yan? That Yan Qingqing from Glory Group. It is said on the internet that this woman is the legal person of the company. I thought she was a very young Obazin, but I didn't expect that she turned out to be, let's call it a beauty, and she is also a beauty above 90%, which is two things with Wen Nuan. Extreme, indistinguishable. As soon as he left the company, he received a text message stating that he had been admitted, telling him that he could go to work in the company on Monday the day after tomorrow. All the procedures could be obtained at the front desk. Han Qian always felt like a sheep in a tiger's den. He couldn't refuse. He was the one to go to the Glory Group. The first step of planning is also the most important step. Only here could he find the opportunity to display his talents. I took out my mobile phone and called my mother, asking how the crops were at home, whether the old man had gone gambling, and whether he had received the remitted money. Qian's mother on the other end of the phone kept nodding, her face full of relief. My mother and my mother-in-law are two extremes. My mother has a gentle personality and doesn't speak loudly, while my mother-in-law can't speak in a low voice. Qian, your salary is not much, so you have to keep some money for yourself. Although Xianyuan's family is rich, we can't rely on others to support us. I don't have much money at home, so I save all the money for you. Han Qian sat on the curb, chewing a piece of bread to satisfy his hunger, and said with a smile, Mom, don't worry about me. The meal I had with my client today consisted of more than 10 dishes. Your health is not good, so you can't be deprived of nutrients. These days, you are hospitalized due to malnutrition. My son is thrown into the hospital. Damn it, tell the old man to buy some ribs soon. I know, go get busy. Qian's mother was worried about the phone bill and felt reluctant to give up, so she still hung up the phone. To this day, she doesn't know how much it cost her to be hospitalized. The old man said it only cost 30,000, which made Qian's mother angry. I almost went back to the hospital to lie down. Here Han Qian hung up the phone and took a deep breath, mentally deciding on a few things he had to do. Return the money to Nuanuan within 1 year. Next year I will earn money to provide pension insurance and medical insurance for my parents, and renovate the house at home. I earned enough money to buy a car for the old man, but it was too cold in winter. When everything is finished, I can buy myself a car that costs about 10,000 yuan, a second-hand Xiaoli will be fine. Han Qian finally thought of himself, but he didn't want to fall in love. 3 years of living with warmth broke his beautiful illusions about all women. Why do women who live alone have such messy rooms? Thinking of the warmth, Han Qian called Li Jinhe and asked when the old couple would come back. The call went through. Hey, Han Qian, your mother is swimming. We are in Sanya. Listening to the sound of the mahjong machine on the phone, Han Qian felt that his blood pressure had increased. What a trip! The old couple just didn't want Wen to go back and disturb their world, but they really didn't dare to send Wen back. They wanted to give it to Lao Wen. The mother-in-law wants to save face, but she also needs to save face for Nuan. After all, he was the one who initiated the divorce. Thinking of warmth, Han Qian felt that his life had become darker. Who would have thought that the vice president of Changxiang Company, who was rumored to have misophobia, would be no different from a pig at home. This eldest lady made Han Qian understand what it meant to stay clean. It brings tears to my eyes when I talk about it too much. When I buy a quilt, I have to prepare new toiletries. I still have to buy groceries. In a luxurious villa, Li Jinhe had already got down from the mahjong table. The purpose of leaving was to deal with Lao Wen, who had spilled the beans. Lao Wen, who was dressed in casual clothes, frowned and looked at his wife who had bullied him for many years with a sad look on his face. He said with a breath, "Daughter-in-law, do you think it's really good for us to do this? Will Han Qian think that our precious daughter is a little?" Li Jinhe opened the orange and handed it to Lao Wen, frowning. There are a lot of twists and turns between these two children. I have probably inquired about it clearly. Did the little white-eyed wolf call us? Did he say he wanted to go home? She has long been used to Han Qian taking care of her. Don't worry anymore. We've been watching this kid Han Qian for 3 years. What kind of character are you not sure about? I'll tell you secretly, Han Qian is a smoker. It's just because he's a white-eyed wolf who hasn't smoked a cigarette in 3 years. Damn, do you think something will happen to the little white-eyed wolf? Lao Wen stopped eating oranges, tilted his head and looked at Li Jinhe with a frown. It's okay for Han Qian to smoke, but then it's a death penalty for me to smoke. Li Jinhe, you've gone too far. How can you get divorced if you don't live too much? I am happy today and allow you to smoke too. After receiving the imperial edict, Lao Wenru got up and trotted all the way to the balcony to blow smoke and smoke. In fact, Li Jinhe made a phone call to Nuan. As long as she admitted her mistake, she could get the house key and go home. However, this little white-eyed wolf hung up the phone without saying a word. This obviously meant that she had a backer and support. Ah! So what are you worried about? Li Jinhe returned to the mahjong table, and Han Qian pushed the cart around the supermarket, thinking about what to do in the evening. Celery fried rice noodles. Warm seems not to eat celery, mushroom eat? She seems not to eat carrots, and the more she thinks about Han Qian, the uglier her face becomes. She is very picky about food and refuses to eat garlic sprouts, leeks, garlic sprouts, green peppers, carrots, green onions, coriander, and celery. Love crabs. It's a pity that Han Qian doesn't eat seafood. It's not that Han Qian doesn't like to eat. First, he never ate crabs when he was a child. He didn't know where to eat them and where not to eat them. When he grew up, he naturally lost interest in crabs. Furthermore, seafood needs to be alive. He couldn't bear it. In the end, Han Qian bought a large intestine, some beans and mushrooms, eggs and tomatoes, also known as tomatoes, and then some snacks. Habits are a very scary thing. Han Qian didn't even know why he bought yogurt and potato chips. The landlady who worked in the supermarket looked at Han Qian with an ambiguous face and asked if his girlfriend was moving here. Han Qian shook his head bitterly. Here comes a debt collector. Sister, when you have time, you can bring your children to our house for dinner. My cooking skills are top-notch. The eldest sister joked and laughed. Just bring bowls and chopsticks. I'm going to buy a bowl. Han Qian said goodbye to the landlady with a smile. There is nothing wrong with being kind to others. He sent his things upstairs as if moving. After laying the bedding on the tatami in the second bedroom, Han Qian originally wanted to lie down and rest for a while. As a result, he fell asleep. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. I turned on my antique Nokia 110 and saw that it was 7:30. Han Qian got up and went downstairs to find that the warmth had returned. She bought herself a set of Yellow Bear cartoon pajamas. She was sitting on the sofa watching TV with potato chips in her arms when she saw Han Qian standing at the stairs, putting down the potato chips and looking up. Head yelled. Han Qian, I'm hungry. Han Qian took a deep breath and said softly. Are you planning to stay for a long time? Wen Nuan nodded vigorously. I can pay for food and rent, Han Qian. I was abandoned. I called my mother and she didn't answer. She also sent text messages to scold me. Can I read the text message? Delete it, delete it. Do you want to take the opportunity to check my phone? Let me see it, let me see it. Han Qian went to the bathroom. Nuan clenched his fists and shouted happily. Lin Zongheng really entered the blacklist. There is no reason, Nuan just doesn't want that guy to cause trouble for her. She likes foreign girls, and her sister doesn't want to serve her anymore. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 9. Putting on an apron, washing and chopping vegetables, and cooking are not difficult for Han Qian, nor is it objectionable. It is enough for Han Qian to cook at home even if he is not an expert in knife skills. It does not have the smell of an outside chef, but it is still delicious and delicious. While Han Qian was washing the vegetables, Wen Nuan got into the kitchen, looked curiously at the ingredients in the sink with his hands behind his back, and whispered. Huh? It's all my favorite food, huh? Aren't you afraid that I won't come back today? Han Qian washed the vegetables seriously without turning his head and replied softly. You don't like the smell in the kitchen, so why did you sneak in? I'm not picky about food. I'll eat all the same if you don't come back. Hey, hey, hey. Han Qian, you have changed. As expected, men are all fickle. You are so cold to me just a few days after the divorce. Don't forget that your sister is still your creditor. Pay back the money. You are not picky about food. Why don't you buy crab? Wen Nuan always bought ready-made crabs to eat. In the 3 years after their marriage, she and Han Qian only had one quarrel. The reason was that Wen Nuan bought crabs for Han Qian to cook, but Han Qian couldn't bear to raise them in the fish tank. And then the next day I saw Nuan throwing lively crabs into the boiling water pot. Then Han Qian's face was gloomy the whole night, and he did not cook dinner, nor did he wash the dishes and clean up the kitchen. When Nuan knew he had said the wrong thing, but Han Qian didn't take it to heart. He turned around and walked out of the kitchen. Just when Wen thought Han Qian was about to go on strike again, Han Qian came back with a box of yogurt in his hand. Go out and drink on the sofa, and don't bother me here anymore. After the divorce, Han Qian will no longer be respectful to Wen Nuan, and he has no idea of pleasing women in his bones. Everyone is equal and there is no distinction between high and low, even though you are now a creditor. But Nuan didn't leave. She didn't know that when she said that Han Qian had changed, she had also changed. It might be that the relationship between the two had changed. No longer a couple. The large intestine needs a little more chili pepper to make it taste better. Have you forgotten that I almost died of pain in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and went to the hospital for half the night? It was the second year after getting married. In the winter, Wen called for boiled fish, the spicy one. Then Wen was rushed to the hospital in the middle of the night. The doctor diagnosed it as intestinal spasm. Antispasmodic injections were useless, and intravenous drips were given. It was useless. In the end, Han Qian had no choice but to keep letting Nuan drink water. Han Qian stayed by the bedside all night, and when Nuan screamed on the hospital bed all night. Because when disturbed other people's rest, Han Qian almost started fighting in the hospital. Nuan also thought of this matter. She used to think that Han Qian should be the one, but now that she thinks about it, it should be a small happiness. After all, it is just a contract marriage. Then put a little less and increase the heat. Is there any soup? Egg soup, miss. If you have nothing to do, can you help me bring the bowls and chopsticks up? Okay, Eunuch Han. As Nuan left the kitchen, Han Qian couldn't help but smile. At this time, his phone suddenly rang. Han Qian hurriedly took out his phone and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Hello. Sir, do you want door-to-door service? We are the best in the country. Han Qian hung up the phone directly. There are too many scammers these days. There were 3 dishes and 1 soup for dinner. If it weren't for Wen Nuan here, Han Qian might not even know how to cook. At the dinner table, Han Qian and Wen didn't speak. They ate quietly, as if they were back to those 3 years of life. After the meal, Han Qian cleaned up the dishes. Wen Nuan took the initiative to help, and then her little toe accidentally kicked on the table leg, causing Han Qian to find a band-aid for her, but unfortunately there was no band-aid at home. After washing the dishes and chopsticks, Han Qian returned to the sofa and took out his computer to study. He was warm and changed into casual clothes. Eunuch Han, do you want to go for a walk? This princess will give you a chance to protect the flowers. Not going. Han Qian. No. I want to see something. Wen Nuan was furious, took a deep breath, then looked at Han Qian with a smile like a flower, and shouted in a coquettish voice. Brother Qian, people eat. I'm going downstairs, shut up. Straight male cancer. Han Qian couldn't withstand Wen Nuan's physical attack that also had some magic armor penetration, so he raised his upper hand and surrendered and went downstairs. The warmth of her bare makeup is very beautiful, coupled with her proud height and slender legs, she is a sight to behold wherever she goes. Han Qian next to him is handsome. The talented and beautiful couple instantly became the focus of the community and attracted a lot of attention. When they walked to the basketball court, Wen Nuan shouted that they couldn't walk anymore and wanted to go to the supermarket to buy water. They asked Han Qian what he wanted to drink. Han Qian looked at the supermarket and said, he glanced at his home, then shook his head and said he was drinking when he went home. Nuan muttered something like miser, and then trotted to the supermarket. Still unable to walk, Han Qian, who stayed where he was, looked at the basketball court with some excitement, wondering if he should go have some fun and exercise. It happened that at this time, a kid in his 20s sprained his foot. There was one missing player in the basketball court. Everyone's eyes also fell on Han Qian. One of them asked if he could come over and take a shot. Someone would fill in after a while. Superior. Han Qian, who hadn't touched basketball for a long time, was a bit sloppy. He was disliked after failing to catch 2 passes. The proud Han Qian couldn't just leave in despair. He took off his coat and returned to the court. He didn't rush after catching the ball. Look for touch with the offense. With the sweat left, the hand feels better and better, layups, 3-pointers, steals, assists, except for rebounds. Han Qian has reached his best state. When Han Qian was a little complacent, the boys on the court were the style of the painting suddenly changed. Everyone seemed to have been given a shot of blood, their speed soared, and there were even slam dunks. When Han Qian was confused, he noticed that the injured child was looking straight out of the stadium. Han Qian turned around and found that Nuan was back, sitting on a chair and talking on the phone with his mobile phone. My husband doesn't need door-to-door service. He doesn't eat snacks. Nuan had a confused and serious look on his face, and a charming voice came from the phone. Oops. Sister, you are wrong. What man doesn't steal the fragrance? House flowers cannot compare with the fragrance of wildflowers. Then he won't eat either, wildflowers. The other party fell silent, as if his self-esteem was hurt by these words. You could hear the other party taking a deep breath to adjust. Don't be afraid, sister, she will attract him. Auntie, are you very confident? My husband only likes people with long legs. I happen to be 1.72 meters tall. How about you, Auntie? Are you over 1.7 meters tall? Excessive. The phone was hung up and the game was over. In the last moment, Han Qian was tortured miserably. Then, under the gaze of everyone in the stadium, he walked up to the rare beauty and took a bottle of water. He drank it with his head raised. The famous flower has an owner? Han Qian ignored these children's thoughts and looked at the mobile phone in Nuan's hand and wondered. My phone number? Looking for me? When Nuan smiled and shook his head. Harassing phone calls. I couldn't bear to see you being tortured so badly while playing basketball. How about I answered the phone to kill some time? Do you feel that you are getting older and your energy is exhausted? Han Qian shrugged. Having a beautiful woman with a huge reputation here is much more effective than stimulants. Let's go, those kids will treat me as a love rival in a while. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of volleyball came from behind. The young man who had dunked many times came behind Han Qian and said he wanted to have a singles match. Han Qian did not refuse. As a result, he was beaten to pieces. The young man was very happy. He thought he would be favored by the goddess, but found that the goddess covered her mouth and snickered at Han Qian. When she looked at him, her eyes were as cold as frost. Han Qian and Nuan left. The people in the stadium were no longer interested in playing. They sat on the ground like eggplants beaten by frost. The young man who dunked sighed. If I stop playing basketball, wouldn't I like to find a girlfriend during this time? Everyone nodded in agreement. In a high-end apartment in the city, a woman stood angrily in front of the mirror, gritting her teeth. Are you proud of your height of 1.72 meters? My sister, who is only 1.8 meters tall, is considered a dwarf? Damn it, the ruler is not accurate, so why is it 166? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 10. Han Qian lay down early. Physically and mentally exhausted, he closed his eyes and fell asleep for a moment. Nuan, who was sleeping in the master bedroom, played with Han Qian's antiques. He looked at the two numbers on them and remembered the other party's reaction when he answered the phone. There is something wrong with the warmth. Is there a dog outside Han Qian? Could it be that they hooked up before they were divorced? Although I don't say I like Han Qian, why do I say that I got a dog just 2 days after the divorce? The more Nuan thought about it, the more unhappy he became. He dialed a number, and the call was connected instantly. Nuan, who had an unsightly look on his face just now, seemed to be a different person, squinting his eyes and smiling. Director Li, I'm sorry to bother you so late. You haven't slept yet. How could the vice president of the company call and say that he was asleep? The other party kept saying that he was not asleep yet. When Nuan continued with a smile. I heard that your application for annual leave was rejected a few days ago. Is there something going on at home? Oh. Well, tomorrow is Saturday. Counting Sunday, you can take 2 days. Is that enough? If not, you can go tomorrow. The company will explain the matters at hand, and I will approve the note for you when the time comes. After chatting for a while, Nuan got to the point. Director Li, I heard from people in the company that your lover works in communications. I have a number here that can help you check. Don't be in a hurry, just tell me when you have time. Just check who is the registrant of the mobile phone card. After hanging up the phone, Nuan's face returned to its previous look. About half an hour later, Manager Li called back. In order to take a vacation, he sent his husband to the company in the middle of the night to check the number. Unfortunately, the owner of the phone number it was very high and was not found out. Manager Li told Vice President Wen the truth anxiously. Her vacation was still allowed, but it only had 4 days including weekends. Nuan sat on the bed and looked at the phone number, muttering softly. Is this poker-like account still an advanced user? Life was very dull during the 2 days of the weekend. When Nuan returned to the temper he had when he got married. He locked himself in the room and was busy with the work at hand. The government office asked several companies to bid for a piece of land, an old community, and the investment department. No matter how much money you and the people in the risk department calculate, Nuan is afraid that this land will be forcibly given to Changxiang by the Yeomanmen. Han Qian was too lazy to talk to Wen. He was checking the information he needed on the first floor. He was exercising in the afternoon, but no one played with him anymore. The few young guys who played ball always felt that this guy was here to show off. These 2 days have been like a year for Han Qian. He will not let go of every minute now. He has difficulty breathing due to the pressure of 4 million debts a year. At the same time, it also makes him feel stimulated and challenged. The proud Han Qian is facing I have confidence, but confidence cannot be eaten as food, and must be taken step by step. On Monday morning, when Nuan ate in a hurry and went to work. When he was leaving, he asked Han Qian if he needed a piece of cake. Han Qian shook his head and said that it was not convenient. The mother-in-law seemed to have really forgotten this beautiful daughter. There was not a single phone call, and Nuan had not answered the phone in the past 2 days. Han Qian felt a little confused. It didn't matter if his mother-in-law didn't call. The guy abroad didn't even call. Did Nuan really block him? What are these girls doing? Little did he know that on the other side of the ocean, a grown man was lying in a daze wearing clothes without love. He didn't understand what Nuan was doing. He blocked Nuan anyway. He called Aunt Li and the answer he got was Nuan and his wife went on honeymoon. Lin Zongheng was almost angry to death. When he returned to China, he would deal with Han Qian first, but he let this stupid guy get there first. Han Qian, who arrived at the company again, was wiser and stopped crossing the square in front of the main entrance of the honor group. He might have been killed by those tiger girls. In the past 3 years with Wen, Han Qian has learned about rich people and poor people. At the same time, I have a little resistance to beautiful women. A girl who is slippery outside is most likely to be the same as Wen Nuan at home. Because Wen Nuan said that 90% of women living alone in the world are almost like this. This sentence broke all the good things in Han Qian's mind. He walked into the door of glory without incident. At this moment, all the employees of the company came to work. Han Qian, who changed into a suit again, became more handsome. He came to the front desk and took out his ID card to receive the admission contract. After signing, the front desk, the little girl took out a piece of candy and put it on the contract, squinted her eyes and smiled. Welcome to the honor group. This piece of candy is the company's greeting gift. It means forgetting the bitterness of yesterday. Working in honor is sweet. The little girl's face was round and cute. Han Qian smiled and was about to reply when a cold scolding came from behind him. Are you all idle? Have you finished your work? If you have nothing to do, just run around the company 20 times. Don't look like a corrupt person with a belly, which will damage the company's image. Han Qian turned around and leaned against the front desk and looked at Yan Qingqing, who was scolding the staff. She wore a light yellow short skirt that covered her hips, a pair of 8-centimeter high heels, and long burgundy hair. This girl didn't look like a general manager of a company, more like the smile on Han Qian's lips gradually disappeared as Xiao San'er was being kept by others, and Yan Qingqing had already arrived in front of him. I have to admit that this girl is very beautiful, very coquettish, very foxy, very charming, but it is a pity that such a foxy beauty has a mouth. Don't know what to do? If you don't know, go clean the toilet. Don't stand here and get in the way. I won't give you a penny more at the front desk. This bitch is definitely here for her aunt. Han Qian turned around and left with the concept that a good man can't fight a woman even if he doesn't fight with a woman. However, as soon as he took a step, Yan Qingqing grabbed his arm and took a look at the contract in his hand. And then gave the girl at the front desk a lesson in a storm. The little girl didn't know what mistake she had made. She lowered her head and had red eyes and did not dare to refute. Planning department? Who said Han Qian should go to the planning department? How many times have I told you, general department, Han Qian, you go to the general department to report, the contract will be delivered to you soon, don't be an eyesore here anymore, mother. I'm having a bad day today. 1% of Yan Qingqing's mood is because of Han Qian, and the remaining 99% is the land that was tendered by the yeomanman. Whoever works on this land will lose money, and Yan Qingqing is most afraid. Is a loss. Han Qian took a deep breath. Mr. Yan, I am applying for a job in the planning department. Now let me go to the general department. The salary of the general department is 1,000 more than that of the planning department, and the bonuses are as usual. Okay, Mr. Yan, you're going to be gone soon. I'm wearing safety pants, get out of here. I originally wanted to embarrass this woman, but who would have expected her to be so tough? After Han Qian left, Yan Qingqing's temper seemed to improve. After venting her anger, she felt much better. She knocked on the table at the front desk and said coldly, "Why are you crying? Crying is useful. I can cry for a month. I can go to the finance department to get a 200 bonus. I will give you 2 hours of leave. Don't delay your work." The little girl burst into tears and laughed. This is the reason why Yan Qingqing dares to lose her temper in the company without being disliked by any employees. She will scold him mercilessly if she does something wrong. After scolding, she will find ways to make things better. The company's evaluation of Mr. Yan is that he has a sharp tongue and a soft heart. A young girl in her 20s managed the company under huge pressure. It was good that it didn't collapse, and she also wanted to help them benefit. Yan Qingqing sighed as she walked into the elevator, wondering what to do. Today's task is to send out contracts, make covers, and set up task plane cards. Please vote for recommendation.